Hey everyone, my name's Gabby. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about my relationship with alcohol. I've been wanting to record this video for a very long time, but it's honestly been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I've spoken about my relationship with alcohol in program and treatment and different like AA classes, but also with like close friends and family, but I have yet to make a video about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with a little bit of background on me and my childhood and then just get right into it. So I grew up in an environment that you could call dysfunctional. My mom and my dad lived together for I think like 36, 37 years, and we were all aware in the home that they didn't get along and they didn't like each other very much. At a young age, my parents started sleeping in separate beds, and it would kind of change throughout the years. Like depending on where we moved, sometimes my mom and me would share a bed. And I think me and her stopped sharing a bed when I was like 13 years old. And like on and off, like we moved around a lot. So sometimes I would have my own room and I'd have privacy. Other times it'd be like sleeping on a couch in the living room. My parents made a lot of weird decisions that looking back now, like I've discussed this with them, I'm not just like making shit up, but my mom realizes that we were forced to live a lot of things that were totally unnecessary, and it was because of her mental instability. And I just grew up with a lot of anxiety. In school, I remember even in elementary school, my sister was very codependent, and I believe that's why she used to call in and tell the school that I was sick when I was like in kindergarten. And we would just stay home and watch movies and hang out, and to me it was like the best thing ever. But I grew to want that. Like I didn't want to be in school. Being at home and doing my own thing, like cooking, learning how to do my makeup, literally I just loved being at home and taking care of the house is what ended up happening. And also though, I began coping with food. And I had always coped with food, but I started like really turning it into like a hardcore binge eating disorder. And that played a lot into the fact of why I was unhappy at school. I was unhappy with my weight. I remember in class, like there was this one class that I had, it was math class, pre-algebra in like 7th grade. And I remember in the very first day of school, the teacher said that we would each be called to go up and do a math problem. Not only was I bad at math, but I was so self-conscious of going up and writing on the board, when in reality, like people saw me all day at school. Like, but the idea of going up in front of everybody to write something on the board was like insane to me. Like everyone else, I remember I would like loathe the day, like I was planning on being absent on the day I had to go up. That's how gnarly the intrusive thoughts in my head were. And that's also why I chose to start coping very early on. Around the age of 13, 14 years old, I started smoking weed regularly, and that to this day has helped just silence that overthinking, and it's helped me immensely. I'm not gonna lie. And back to the whole binge eating disorder, it got to a point in high school to where I couldn't take it anymore, and I actually went down the rabbit hole of Tumblr. I was originally like a fangirl on there, and I would post about like the strokes, all my favorite bands, Arctic Monkeys, and then suddenly I came across, I'm not gonna mention it, but I came across the darkness of like eating disorders, and where eating disorders have like nicknames and people refer to them by their nicknames, and these gnarly diets, and I traumatized myself, and it was really horrible because I basically got myself into a really bad state of mind. I started following all these negative things and I didn't have anybody to reach out to. And I basically transferred my binge eating disorder to binge drinking. And what would happen was I would eat, like, I'd monitor my calories pretty much. And I would make sure I wouldn't go more than like 250 a day or 500, depending what my goal was for that day. And once I got home, once me and my friend would get home to her house, we would binge and we would purge and we'd go out drinking. And it was a really, really, really sick cycle that no one else in school knew about me and her. It was like our dark little secret. And we started going out all the time with just whoever would invite us out, and we began binge drinking together. One of the times that we had gone out, we met some people who were much older than us. They were about 8 or 10 years older than us when we were 16. And later on, one of the people would go on to become the father of my son. But we picked up very, very bad habits. I mean, the father of my son and his friends were drinking like first thing in the morning, doing a line right after that first thing in the morning. And I remember just being so into the idea that we were doing something that was bad and forbidden, and like my parents would kill me if they knew what I was doing. And I hated being at home. I hated being at school. So me and my friend, we would get someone to buy us alcohol, pour it into like a shampoo bottle or something, start drinking it at school. Second or third period, call up our friends or whoever and get picked up and go hang out with these much older people and literally just waste time, kill brain cells, and get traumatized is all I was doing. And here I was thinking I was like being cool, being rebellious, having fun. I was wasting so much time and hurting myself. And me and my friend were actually eventually separated, and her parents thought it was best to take her to a different city. Thank God. We would have probably wound up in a ditch together with the way that we used to get. I'm not kidding. I do think everything happens for a reason, and a lot of blessings are in disguise. But basically, that situation, even though we were separated, I wasn't grateful for it at the time. I got so depressed and I spiraled, and I actually wound up drinking. I got invited out by some people, and I was very, very naive. I was still new to drinking. I didn't really know how much I had to drink in order to feel anything. I didn't know about blacking out. And I had a little too much to drink, and I woke up in a completely different bedroom than the one I had remembered from the night before. And I had nothing on me, no clothes. All I had was a sleeping bag thrown over me. And I'm looking up at the ceiling, wondering what happened. And I go outside, open the door, and in the living room, there's these two college-aged kids, and one of them says, "It looks like you had a wild night last night." And I didn't remember either one of them from the night before. I don't know where they came from. I walked over to the room I had remembered being in that previous night, and I found someone who I remembered from the night before in there. I should have gone to the hospital and done like the whole like R-word kit and done like some blood tests and stuff. Luckily, nothing came from that. I was safe, but I was super traumatized for like the following 10, 11, 12 years. Like I'm 29 now, and this happened when I was 16, and I'm like barely starting to feel like okay about it. But I had a lot of shame. The following day when I went to school after the incident, or it was a Monday, so the weekend passed, and I remember I showed up to school and I had a very bad memory of like who was all there, but I could remember that there were several guys from high school there, and one of them was in the nurse's office where I had gone because I wanted to go home early. I just had so much anxiety about who knew what had happened on the Friday, and in my head I'm thinking they're just saying rumors about me. They're not going to admit what actually happened to me. And I was right. There was this guy in the nurse's office, and he saw me sitting on a chair looking sad, and he smirked. And he said something along the lines of like, "You had a wild weekend." I don't know whose son that was, but ew. Ugh. And like, how could you be so cruel at such a young age? He must have only been like 16 or 17, but that incident really messed me up. And I didn't know how to talk about it. There was so much shame. And I was raised at a very young age to just like not talk about things. Like, you're not gonna solve anything and no one wants to hear your problems. So I kept that bottled up, and a few months later, literally 2 months later, I spiraled and I wound up in another very similar incident. At this point, I just felt embarrassment and I felt shame, and I felt like there was something really wrong with me. Like, okay, do I like what is going on in my brain that I'm ending up in another situation where this is happening to me? And you know, the common theme is I'm consuming large amounts of alcohol before I actually meet these people, and that ends up happening to me. And I would just carry it with me for months, and then I would spiral again. I had these periods of really bad problem drinking, to the point to where I would actually make myself dependent on the alcohol by the end of the week. So I would go to the store, I'd buy like a handle or a large amount of alcohol, and then I would pour it into a water bottle, and exactly like what I had seen, start taking shots in the morning, start feeling different, start making stupid decisions, and just lose myself. Wind up with strangers who may or may not hurt me. And this happened on and off in my life from the age of 15 to about the age of 27. And I'm really grateful that I'm here, but I've only just started to recently realize how gnarly that is now that I'm a mother myself, and I'm seeing how important it is to make my child feel loved and important and worthy. And the one thing that I always wonder is what would my life look like had I asked for help when I was younger? Because I was always so scared. And becoming a mom, I had actually stopped drinking for about 4 years before I gave birth to my son. But I got postpartum depression, and same thing. Bought a large amount of alcohol and spiraled. And it happened a couple of times throughout my son's, in these 2 years of life that he's living. And it just got to the point where it was too much. And something really big had to happen for me to realize that I did need help to understand my issue with alcohol. Because there were a couple of nights in these past couple of years where I went out and I had a good time. It didn't end badly. But the majority of the time, I've been using alcohol to hurt myself, and as like a cry for help. I know every time that I like problem drink and binge drink, every time before I buy the bottle, I know I should be working out. I should be reaching out to a therapist. I should maybe reach out and tell my mom I don't feel good. Maybe I should go to an AA meeting. I have all these different thoughts. But the one at the forefront is, like, I know I'm self-sabotaging. I know that this is a cry for help. I know that if I spiral, it'll get my family's attention. And that's one of the weirdest, like, things that I had to realize, that my alcohol use is literally a cry for help every single time with the way that I've been using it. It was like I was screaming at the top of my lungs for my family to see what was wrong with me. Sorry, I just let out a big sigh because that was really hard to get out. But for the longest time, I just didn't think I was worthy of happiness and love and having peace. And then I would drink, and that would make me even more depressed because it's a depressant. And then on top of that, I don't know about you guys, but me, when I drink, I will make shit up. Like, there will be no problems. And my brain will go back to early 2000s. This one thing happened. Oh my God. And I ruined my own day. I personally, I know I'm genuinely much, much, much happier when I don't drink. I really am. Like, when I take that first shot, it may be like, woo! But it's like artificial. It really is. And I am really trying to build a life where alcohol is not my go-to self-destructive thing. Like, I want to change that, and I have been. I have the scram monitor on though. If you know, you know. But the scram monitor has helped me stay clean. And there's people who have it and they'll still drink on it. But me, I'm enjoying how I feel right now without alcohol. I think it is... I've never been truly happy in my life. And I've actually been suffering with major depressive disorder, among other things, my whole life. And this is the first time I've ever like attacked my depression full on. And for me personally, I decided to not go on meds. My doctor didn't think it would be a good idea, and I told him I wanted to do it the natural way. You know, sunlight, diet, getting out. For me personally, everyone has, you know, I recommend everyone talk to a professional for your own things that you got going on. But for me, I needed to join a gym. I needed to start getting out of the house, not just once a day. I need to go out and either be out of the house all day, or if I'm going out and running errands, like be in the world, not just like disassociating with my headphones or dissociating with fucking a bottle of alcohol. Because I used to go about my day with a flask, and you know how sad that is? Like, time would just pass by, and every year would go by, and it would be meaningless. So I'm very, very grateful that I've been sober these past like 90 something days, and I've finally been able to talk about my relationship with alcohol and not have that shame. You know what I mean? And to be able to say that I am genuinely happier. Like, I'm not... That's why I had a hard time going to AA, because I would go, and I don't know what AA is like in other places, but the ones that I've been to in my city is a bunch of people talking about how they miss the feeling, and I'm like, maybe it is because of my different diagnoses, but alcohol literally makes me insane. And that's fine. I've accepted it, and I'm better off without it. So that's it. That was actually easier than I thought it was gonna be. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, and if you think this may help someone, share this video with them. I would really appreciate if you would like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be uploading a new video this week. I'm trying to shoot for doing one once a week at least, but I'll see you guys next time. Take care.